Have you ever felt that trading is just harder than it should be? I don't mean complicated. I mean heavy. You understand your strategy. You can see the setups, and you even know exactly what you're supposed to do. Yet at the end of the day, you feel exhausted, frustrated, and mentally drained in a way that just doesn't quite make sense. If you've ever wondered why something that looks so simple on a chart feels so difficult in real time, then this is for you. Most traders assume trading feels hard because they're missing some key piece of knowledge. Or maybe the market is just being tricky. Or perhaps they just haven't found that one perfect system yet. But you know what? That's rarely the real reason. What truly makes trading feel so hard isn't its complexity. It's the emotional effort it demands. Think about it. We usually judge how difficult something is by how complicated it looks. But trading isn't a complex puzzle in the traditional sense. It's a test of emotional regulation under extreme uncertainty. And that, my friends, is a completely different kind of work. Every single time you sit down to trade, you're not just analyzing price action. You're managing a storm of emotions all at once: doubt, patience, anticipation, fear, and expectation. You're forced to make decisions without any certainty. You have to act without any guarantees, and you have to accept outcomes that are completely outside your control. That entire process is mentally expensive, even when the setup looks crystal clear on your screen. The reason trading feels so much harder than you expected is because most people, when they start, have the wrong idea of what the work actually is. They think the hard part is going to be finding a winning strategy, or learning all the technical rules, or getting good at spotting a setup. In reality, the hardest part is staying emotionally neutral while you execute a probabilistic game over and over and over again. And nobody prepares you for that. So, when trading starts to feel difficult, what do? We assume we're doing something wrong. We think, if I were better at this, it wouldn't feel this uncomfortable. But that belief is completely backwards. Trading feels uncomfortable precisely because you're doing it correctly. You are willingly putting yourself in situations where the outcome isn't guaranteed, where your brain can't predict what's going to happen next, and where your sense of control is practically zero. The human brain is not built for this. It craves certainty. It wants closure. It wants instant feedback to know if it did a good job. But the markets don't offer any of that. Instead, they give you delayed outcomes, random sequences of wins and losses, and a whole lot of emotional whiplash. Your brain then works overtime, desperately trying to find patterns and make sense of it all. That effort, that constant mental churning, shows up as physical tension in your body. It shows up as that deep fatigue you feel after just a couple of hours of staring at charts. It shows up as pure frustration when a trade doesn't resolve cleanly. And it all adds up to that nagging feeling that trading is just harder than it should be. There's another reason trading feels so hard, and it's tied to how we measure difficulty. Most traders link the difficulty of a day to their results. On days when things go well and your profits are positive, trading feels easy, almost effortless. But on days when things don't go well, trading suddenly feels unbearable, like a monumental struggle. But here's the thing. The difficulty of your trading day isn't determined by your profits and losses. It's determined by how much emotional energy you had to use just to stay composed and follow your plan. A flat day where you had to fight off every impulse to jump into a bad trade, manage crushing boredom while waiting for a good setup, and resist the urge to force something that wasn't there. That day can be far, far harder than a big green day where every trade just flowed naturally. But most of us don't recognize that as real work. We only validate the struggle when it shows up as a loss in our account. This disconnect creates a deep sense of frustration. You feel exhausted, but you don't feel like you have a right to be, because your account is flat. And that just makes the whole experience of trading feel even heavier. There's another subtle factor at play here that most traders tend to overlook. When you start trading, you expect that as you improve, things will get easier. You think that as you gain more experience, trading will become more relaxed and less stressful. And in some ways, that is true. Your confidence grows, and you become more familiar with the process. But in other ways, the pressure just changes its shape. As you get better, your expectations for yourself increase. You expect yourself to perform better. You expect to be consistent. You expect perfect emotional control. And those new expectations add a whole new layer of weight to your shoulders. Now, you're not just trading the market anymore. You're also trading against your own impossibly high standards. This is why trading can feel just as hard at the professional level as it does for a beginner, even though the pro is infinitely more skilled. The work didn't just disappear. It evolved. The mistake most traders make is that they try to remove the difficulty instead of trying to understand it. They chase after strategies that promise ease and simplicity. They look for a set of rules that will eliminate any discomfort. They operate under the assumption that the goal is to make trading feel completely effortless. But the goal isn't effortlessness. The goal is tolerance. It's about building your tolerance for uncertainty, your tolerance for waiting, your tolerance for not knowing what comes next, and your tolerance for feeling emotional discomfort without acting on it. Once you truly understand that, something profound shifts in your mindset. Trading still requires a ton of effort, but it stops feeling so confusing. You stop asking, "Why is this so hard?" And you start saying, "This is hard because of what it demands from me, and that's okay." That simple reframe matters more than you can imagine. Because when the difficulty is expected, it stops feeling like a personal failure. It just becomes part of the process, instead of being evidence that you're falling behind or not good enough. So if trading has been feeling heavier than you thought it would, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're missing some obvious secret that everyone else knows. It simply means you're engaging with a profession that demands something humans are not naturally wired for: emotional control under constant uncertainty. The moment you stop judging yourself for that difficulty, you free up an incredible amount of mental energy. You stop fighting the experience. You stop resenting the process. And you can finally start working with the reality of what trading actually is. And paradoxically, that is the exact moment when it all begins to feel a little bit lighter. Not because the work got any easier, but because you finally understand why it feels the way it does. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more content to help you on your trading journey. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.